Hey everybody, so here we are with my Kramer FR424 with the reverse headstock. This is the guitar from my Fixing the Junk guitar video, and it's the one that I Van Halen painted yellow. The neck needed shim badly on this thing, and I used just a piece of folded up sandpaper to shim it. It's time to come back around to this guitar, trying to correct the neck pocket shim. I have some StewMac shims. I have a 1 degree, some 5s. So let's look at the neck relief. Just gonna bar the first fret, lay my hand across the strings, fretting them on this side, and then pushing, checking the relief here. The clearance seems good. It's got a little bit of bow in it. So the neck relief is fine. The next thing to consider in this shimming project is the tremolo posts. These two posts are how you can sit the action on the guitar with the locking tremolo. You want to look at these posts and see what kind of adjustment room you have. And I can tell from this that this tremolo is brought almost all the way down. It won't go down too much farther. We don't have much room to go down here. We're still kind of high here. So what that means is the neck still needs to be tilted this way a little bit. That way you got more room to work with. So this isn't a good sign. I already have a real nicely thick folded piece of sandpaper in here, and the neck still needs more degrees to it. What we're going to do is, if the StewMac shims don't work, I'm going to fold a wedge shim out of aluminum foil and put in it. And that will be a full pocket shim. We'll see how it's going to turn out. Using these old strings as guides for doing this, I'm going to do my typical neck pull, leaving the old strings on, and we'll try to get the shim angle right on this neck before going through the restring process. So let's speed through me pulling the neck off and examining the sandpaper shim. What I just did is I pulled slack into the strings to drop the tremolo down, and then I retightened the locking nut so the strings won't go anywhere off of the post. So this is what we have. We got the floppy strings, tremolo dropped. Now I'm going to pull the 3 tremolo springs off. There you go. There's the tremolo with all of your strings. Now let's pull the neck off. Okay, let's see what we got going on here. There's my sandpaper shim, which isn't as big as I thought, which is good. It does look like this shim's about a 32nd of an inch though. Let's see here. 1 degree StewMac. These shims are thick on one side and get real paper thin on the other. They're like a wedge. That's why they call this the proper way to shim a neck pocket. That way the whole neck is sitting flush onto the mounting surface. So you're not just jacking up one little lip of the neck. And then they say that can cause warping in extreme situations of your neck. So yeah, this is the 1 degree. Looks like the 1 degree StewMac is about 3/64. So this is perfect. This shim is perfect because the sandpaper was at about 2/32 or a 1/16, and we needed to go a little more than that. And this is a 1/16 and a little more. But let's just try the 1 degree StewMac. On these pre-drilled StewMac shims, the holes didn't even line up on one of my other Kramers. It looks like these are lined up enough to work. So yeah, this is another issue I had with these. I had to make a foil shim for one of my guitars because these holes didn't line up. And then if you don't have the proper tools to put holes in these, it'll just splinter. You'll just splinter the shim. So let's go ahead and roll with that. I think it'll work. I'm going to go ahead and put the neck plate on the back of the guitar like this. And I'm going to go ahead and start these neck screws to the tips come up right here. That way it'll help hold this shim in place lined up, you know, so the shim won't shift and then you end up screwing through the shim. So since it's such a tight tolerance right here, I'm just going to do that. All right, the screws are started through and now they're holding the shim in place so it won't slide around. So let's put the neck back on this thing and see what the angle looks like. Okay, the neck screws are back in. They're not tightened down all the way. We had some screws sticking out when we lined the neck up and started bolting it down. As you see this gap, that gap is caused from the threads on the body not being in perfect sync with the threads on the neck. This is enough to hold the shim where it won't shift. We're going to back these front two screws out to where the neck will drop back flush and then tighten the screws all the way down. If you tighten these screws now, the body threads will be fighting against the neck threads. So this is just something that you have to do on some guitars. So we'll back these out to where all the threads are out of the neck. That'll make the front part go flush, and then we'll tighten these back down. And then I'm going to do the same thing back here. Back these out to where I know the tips of the screws are out of the neck. Make sure the neck's flush and then bring the screws back down. I know it seems complicated, but I'm OCD. That's just the way I do stuff, I guess. Okay, the front of the neck is flush. Bring the neck screws back down. I'm going to snug these, not all the way tight, just snug them up. Now do the same thing to the back. Back these out to where the tip of the thread is out of the neck, but still in the body. So now we'll tighten these back up. So now you know your body threads and your neck threads are in sync with each other. All right, now a little superstitious tone thing that I do is I grab the neck. These aren't totally tight yet. Grab the neck and push it towards the body, and that butts this side of the neck up against the body side of the neck pocket. This is sort of a sustained superstitious thing. You can do this with strings on the guitar with it tuned up. You can just break these loose and you'll hear it go kick and then pull the neck down. We go ahead and do that now while these are kind of loose. I'm just going to keep downward pressure on the neck, loosen these just enough where I felt the neck crick. It went, I felt it in my hand. It's just that little bit of space. So holding downward pressure. Now we're tightening the neck screws. There you go. The neck pocket is joined solid on this thing. Butted up against the body, tightened here with no gaps. So yeah, that's a solid neck joint. Here's our piece of junk strings. Let's put the tremolo back in this thing and see what our neck angle looks like. It looks almost perfect. I can't believe it, man. The 1 degree shim put it almost perfect. How can I be this lucky? Wow. It's going to take minimal adjusting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set this thing up with the 9.5s. If you want to see a video on how to set up a guitar and restring it, I have a couple on my channel. I'll try to throw a card up. You can check that out. But I'm going to go through and do that now, and I'll be right back. that's it. Stu Mac Shim was a success on my Bumblebee Kramer. If you like this video, want to see more like it, consider clicking the subscribe button and turning on notifications. That's real important, the notification bell, because I go live every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and that might be at random times also. So if you want to know when I go live, click that bell also, and you'll be able to come in and hang out. See you later. Peace.